What's up, guys? My name is Lefty, and before we get started on the sports betting video course, I thought it'd be a good idea to give you a brief summary of my background and sports betting experience. I've been at this a long time, going on 20 years, and my experience has kind of given me a unique approach to the sports betting education. I'll quickly discuss some of these experiences. I started out young. Looking back on it now, I was always creating pools and making tournament brackets and kind of running fantasy leagues and any type of competitive contest and laying out the rules and formats. I was really big into playing cards growing up. Some of the older listeners might remember the Chris Moneymaker boom of the Texas No Limit Hold'em. Regular guy, he ended up winning the World Series of Poker, and then there was a big rush for people looking to learn how to play No Limit Hold'em. And now I already had experience playing poker and specifically No Limit Hold'em, so this was a good time. It was like the gold rush. You had people learning how to play for the first time, and I had experience playing, so it was like kind of shooting fish in a barrel. And this kind of gave me some leeway with my mother and father at the time, who weren't really too happy with how I was spending my free time, which was basically spent playing cards and sports betting. But once they saw that I could win money or make money doing this, they kind of let me be, which was a good thing. And during this poker boom, I call it, I had already started sports betting years prior to this. In fact, around the ages 10, maybe 11, every weekend with my father, I'd get the newspaper lines. I'd compare them with his bookie, the lines he had, and he'd let me make a bet through his bookie, one bet each week. I got rewarded for it, whether it was a new hat or sneakers or whatever the case was. But I learned at an early age, that if you pick the right side, you can get rewarded. I kind of learned the whole bookie better relationship. I used to go with my father sometimes to either pay his bookie or to collect. And I'll never forget his bookie telling him, "Bookies always win." And at this point in my life, I didn't even know what a bookie was. I just knew that I wanted to be one. Now, it wasn't until around maybe freshman year in high school, that's when I started betting on my own with my very own bookie, which, again, you got to think back. It wasn't like today. There was consequences for not paying. You had to call in your bets over the phone. You met up with your bookie in person each week. And there was a ton of trial and error, a lot of money lost, and you had to learn, through paying money. It wasn't until I stumbled upon a sports information site called Frank777.com. And this site was owned and operated by Frank Rosenthal. Anyone familiar with the movie Casino? Robert De Niro played him in the movie, and it was pretty cool. He did all types of betting lessons. He did an in-depth terminology page. He kind of wrote stories about his sports betting career. You needed to be 18 in order to become a member of this site. I was only 16. You had to submit a summary or a reason why you wanted to become a member. I ended up getting accepted even though I was 16, but there was no proof of age. So it was kind of cool. And this kind of, started my first step in the right direction of becoming a smarter sports bettor. I kind of learned how much time and effort is required into becoming a successful sports bettor. And I was fortunate enough to learn how hard it is too. A lot of bettors these days are misguided and kind of think it's a get rich quick thing. And this is during this time I noticed a lot of my friends losing money constantly. And because I had a bookie, a lot of my friends were putting the bets through me. And eventually I just stopped calling in those bets to my bookie, and I just started keeping them. This ultimately progressed into me becoming a bookie. And you got to remember, again, in this era, this was the phone, pen and pad. This was before everyone had an online account where they could go and place bets. So if you were a bookie, it was a full-time job. You're working the phones, a lot of accounting, keeping some needed organization skills. And I eventually scaled this book operation into a fairly decent size book. I had friends that I hired as sub-agents. And this was a huge learning experience for me. I learned how or why most bettors lose. And I realized quickly that it's not that they have a special talent for picking a lot more losers than winners. It's in fact a lot of them win 50% of the time. It's just certain betting habits or flaws in their betting. Betting the parlays and buying points or laying juice, and that's ultimately what turns them into a losing bettor. But more importantly, I found out how sharps win, and the patterns that they use, and kind of like the type of bets. And also that they don't really bet by themselves. They'll bet in groups called syndicates. And basically, my entire 20s was spent as a bookie. During that time, I made a lot of connections in the sports betting world that ultimately led to a bunch of different opportunities. And now I'm not going to list my entire resume on here, but over the last 15 years, I've had a lot of different roles in the sports betting industry. I helped start several pay-per-head sportsbook operations, which involved tasks like training the traders and consulting. I've worked in risk management for a gaming company where, my job was basically to review player betting accounts and kind of create a risk profile for their accounts. All the different jobs I had were on the sportsbook side of the industry, or behind the counter, as they say. And I eventually wanted to cross over to the other side of the counter. And 4 or 5 years ago, that's exactly what I did. I started working in sports information. Some of you might be familiar with the site Sports Insights, which is a live odds service that provides all types of different betting tools, public betting data, trends, stats, and this is also during the time I started trading information and working with well-known sports betting syndicates. I was officially against the books here, betting full-time, and this is during the time the Supreme Court overturned the PASPA ruling there, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. This now allowed all the states outside of Las Vegas to completely legalize sports betting. And all the different sports books scrambled, like DraftKings, FanDuel. They started, looking to establish themselves in each state. It's a great time for sports bettors. Betting a game is as easy as ever, just a few clicks away. And then you have the sports books competing for customer share, offering all types of sign-up bonuses, promos. But with that, I noticed almost overnight, people turned into professional sports consultants and professional handicappers, and they started offering up their opinions for sale. You could start buying their picks, and this for me is still tough to watch because sports betting, the popularity is still growing. It's at an all-time high, and seeing new sports bettors falling for these scammers. And now I'm not here to say I'm here to try to save the sports betting public or anything like that. But I think my experience offers a unique perspective. I'm really excited about this sports betting course I'm doing, putting a lot of time into it. So I'll end here, and I hope to see you on the next one.